if these people took her advice and decided to just be comfortable and not be an activist and not feel like they need to provoke some change in the world around them, because not just for their own selfish being, for their own discomfort, but they seen the discomfort of everybody else around them. All right, guys, thank you for watching Power to the Pod with your boy Superior, where we are committed to an intellectual integrity and a moral honesty. And in this video, we're here to talk about Amala. I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name. I will butcher that all to hell. But we're here to talk about her interaction, her conversation with Dr. I got to make sure I put that in front, because maybe everything he's saying is above my pay grade. I don't know. But Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, okay, like he looks more intense than what he talks. You know what I'm saying? But they're having a conversation, and I mean, at the beginning of this video, it's like the first 10 seconds. And I found where they were talking about, activism, and it just blows my mind. Like, it's hard for me to tell if they don't understand activism, and maybe I'm just being poor and I'm just being a peasant and just using my basic understanding of what activism is, or they're just purposely being disingenuous with this kind of information just to prove their point, just to bolster up their arguments and their side, just to make their side look good. Like, it's hard for me to decipher that, because it feels like they're smart individuals and they could kind of, understand basic stuff. And to me, it just blows my mind. It's hard for me to square that circle, no matter how hard I try. So let's take a listen and see if you can understand what they're trying to say.
Right, well, okay, a couple of things there. So another thing that really used to bother me at the universities, and I started to discuss this with some of my professional peers just before it became impossible for me to continue working at the university. We have this idea that we tell young people all the time, and I really do think this is an insidious invitation to their prideful narcissism, that first of all, that they should be changing the world, which is a lot to change for people who haven't even been able to live independently yet. And also that if you do want to change the world, which is what you should do and what you could do, the way you do that is by being an activist. And
Okay. Now, if you want to watch this full video without me interjecting, then go to her page. It's the unapologetic with her name. Go find it. You can watch it. But I need to stop it, because just leading on with that kind of information is already setting people up for failure if they don't kind of stop and think about what he is saying. But nobody is telling people they need to change the world. Now, it sounds good. It sounds good on paper. Like, hey, you need to change the world. Like, it's a fun thought to have. But if you're listening and you really feel that you need, first change yourself. If any responsible teacher at any university who is telling people you need to change the world, like, no, slow down, pump your brakes. Change yourself. You can't change the world if you don't change your own self. Change your family, change your environment that you grew up in. Start off with that. If you can do that, then progress to deeper and further things. Change your friends, your neighbors. Start there. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's called to change the world. You know what I'm saying? So with him kind of putting out there that's everybody's main objective, and everybody at these universities is pushing people to change the world, like, I think rational people would be like, hey, I may not be able to change the world. That may not be my calling, but I'm going to change what I can. You know what I'm saying? I think that's reasonable people's understanding. So I think he's kind of inflating that a little too much, kind of putting a little too much smoke in that. Okay, so let's slow that down just a little bit.
Activist has become professionalized since the mid-'60s. And so an activist seems to me to be someone who hypothetically advocates for the oppressed, which is already a moral danger. Because, like, what the hell made you advocate for the oppressed? Did they elect you? Why are you the spokesman? And what gives you that moral virtue? So, those are major questions. But
okay. First off, let's go to the dictionary. Let's go to the Google dictionary and see what it says about what is an activist, because whatever he said is a complete one-sided perspective on what an activist is, because I'm guessing he hates activists. He would do his best to refrain from being an activist, because he just made it sound so self-serving, to be an activist. But Google says a person who is campaigning to bring about political or social change. Wait, hold on. I don't think you guys hear me. I don't think you listening. Google said an activist is a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. Jordan, can I call you Jordan? Mr. Jordan, Mr. Pete, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Peter. Aren't you an activist? Isn't your whole entire spiel, isn't your whole entire persona bringing about political or social change? That's what an activist is. Now, of course, there's different degrees to it. I would, consider myself an activist. Now, of course, I would never compare myself to a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X or a Frederick Douglass. Of course, give me a little time. I might be able to do that one day. But Mr. Peterson, isn't anyone who is trying to change the political or social atmosphere in some way, shape, or form an activist? I don't know. It seems, once again, it seems a little disingenuous to me to kind of portray in your own definition what an activist is. Like, and he's getting paid to do it too. So he's trying to make it seem like, these bad faith actors who are capitalizing on being an activist. And then he wants to say, what makes you qualified? What makes you qualified to be an activist for the needy, for the poor? First off, if you're boisterous, if you're bold, if you're courageous, and just like Coco said in an interview, those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. If you lived it, if you lived in that poverty, if you witnessed it, if it broke you down, if you cried, if you felt the pressure of living check to check, and you found a way to fight through it and to come out of it and to learn from it and to sympathize with those who are still in it and may not know how, or may not know that they're living in it, or they feel like they have no other way out of it. To me, that makes you qualify. And even my watch agrees, because it just said da-da-ding. I don't know if you heard it, but to me, that's what makes you qualified. Just like Chance the Rapper said in one of his songs, he said the people's champ must be everything the people can't be. Mr. Jordan Peterson, come on. You're a doctor, Jordan. Can you please act like it? Please act like you know more than me.
But also, it comes with it this temptation, because if you're an activist, you're almost always against something, right? You're against industry, you're against...
Bro, no shit. An activist isn't always going to be someone who's fighting for the poor. There's activists for gun rights. There's activists for the rich and the millionaires and the billionaires. There's climate activists. There's people who are activists when it comes to climate denial. Like, there's all sorts of different kinds of activists. Come on, bro.
Fossil fuels, you're against the patriarchs, you're
Jesus.
against the racists. Like, you're always identifying the problem with the world as being something that some other person who isn't good like you is doing. And then what we do is we present young people in high school and in university with the notion that, well, if you really care about the world, there's nothing more honorable than you could do, that you could possibly do, than to become an activist. And I really kind of think that in some sense, there is almost no lower calling than activist.
No lower.
Yes, I would.
Oh, that's disrespectful, bro. That's disrespectful on so many levels.
Would agree with you, and I think it's within our nature, especially as young people, to get obsessed with this idea of radical transformation and this lure of transformation. And it wasn't until I met Dave Rubin, who I'm sure you're familiar with, and he put out this quote of, when I was on this side of things, I was trying to control the world. Now that I'm out of it, I'm trying to understand the world. And that's something that a lot of young people are not obsessed with. They don't want to understand the world and their place within it. They feel a sense of discomfort, and they want to attribute that sense of discomfort to something else and find what is a common enemy. And it's really easy to find a common enemy if you listen to anybody who is obsessed with this woke ideology.
Okay. We gonna have to play that last part back. Okay, it's once again, maybe I'm missing something, but it feels like it's the wrong, incorrect thing in even your own personal belief to believe. Like, let me play that back. Let's go ahead and play that back.
A lot of young people are not obsessed with. They don't want to understand the world and their place within it. They
don't want to understand the world and their place in it. Okay.
Feel a sense of discomfort, and they want to attribute that sense of discomfort to something else and find what is a common enemy. And it's really easy to find a common enemy if you listen to anybody who is obsessed with this woke ideology.
Okay. All right. We need the full screen here. All right. So what I am getting from her is young people need to understand their place in this world we live in. Understand it, grasp it, and know your position, your role in what you live in. And if you're uncomfortable, that's a no-no. Learn to get comfortable. That's what I'm understanding from her. My perspective on this is, if you're comfortable, you are no friend to me. You are no friend to me. Being comfortable means that you got everything and everyone in your life, and you're just sitting on the yacht and you just loving life. That's not me. And that's not millions of people, let alone in America, around the world. If you're living check by check, if you're not happy with our judicial system, if you're not happy with policing, if you're not happy with our political figures, our politicians, if you're not happy with that, you are uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, that causes you to move. That causes you to think. That causes you want to do more and be more than just yourself. If people before me, if the leaders before me took her advice and learned how to just be comfortable in their role in the world that they lived in, we would not be here today. Like I said, she would not be in that comfortable, probably $600-700 chair that she's sitting in that air conditioned room with the 4K camera. She would not be in that position. Guarantee it. If the people before me were comfortable, they would probably still be living today. I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. If it wasn't for the people before us, we would not be where we're at today. Ella Baker James Brown, Dick Gregory, W.E.B. Du Bois, James Baldwin, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, which is the co-founders of the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense, Harriet Tubman, John Brown, which is one of the coldest white boys I done ever read about, Tupac, Dr. Cornel West, Michael Eric Dyson, Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass. If these people took her advice and decided to just be comfortable and not be an activist and not feel like they need to provoke some change in the world around them, because not just for their own selfish being, for their own discomfort, but they seen the discomfort of everybody else around them. Why is that a bad thing? Why is that just a quote unquote left woke ideology? If that's being woke, bro, I need to be the most wokest person in the world. If that's what that means, if that puts me in the same category as the names that I just read you, I need to be woke every day. There's no sleeping for me. And I need you to be woke too. That's it.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to join the conversation by subscribing. Make sure to tune in next time, and like always, power to you, power to me, power to the people, power to the pod.